Good morning, gentlemen. Yesterday, we did talk about mental imagery, dwelling a bit more on mental imagery and going beyond talking about visualization, and subsequently, we'll be talking about what we call as imagination. I did talk about the technique of mental imagery, some of the technique utilized on there. First of all, we must understand why is it necessary to understand all this, that is mental imaginary, visualization, imagination. But they are the tools which are available to us as a human to enhance our own capabilities and thought process. Remember, in SSB, we have got what we call a thematic perception test. Now, is perception different from perception? Yes. But what is the difference? Unless we know about it, you would not be in a position to perform better. We have all been talking, there is a perception, that distortion and all, but that's on ground, things are different. Today, I would basically be talking about a bit more about mental imagery, going on to visualization. Then subsequent days, I'll be talking about imagination. Okay? So let's talk about the first and foremost, what is mental imagery itself. Okay. What is mental imagery? Before we talk about, let's talk about some of those terms. We all understand memory. What is memory? Memory is the exact reproduction of the contents of a past experience in the same order in which they were experienced in the past. Sometimes memory is called reproductive imagination because it is in it the contents of past experience are reproduced in the same order in which it occurred. Then the term comes perception. Perception means a simple impression that has not yet fully reached consciousness, which on external phenomena, which is an external phenomena, which produces on our senses, is dependent on external sensory information taken from what a person can see, hear, feel, taste, or touch in the moment. Perception justifies beliefs about actuality, or that it is happening in the environment or not. Whereas our perception can be thought of as a conscious perception of a known sensory impression. So the perception gives a vague, brief idea of what it is, but it is a perception which consolidates our understanding of the object, that impression. Therefore, it is a transition from impression to cognition. In a narrow sense, our perception is interpreted as the process of reducing impression to one general idea of the subject. Thereby, basic and simple concepts are developed from impression. You can recollect back, most of you have been writing stories, looking at a picture. So the first picture that you look at on the screen on which you are supposed to write story, it's basically a perception. It's a vivid idea, just idea. And how that idea is modified, that is how it reaches with control, what you are going to write. How has your thought process changed? That is what we call our perception. We'll talk about our perception later on. Let's come back to mental imagery, which you already talked about it. Is the elaborate and multifarious cerebral course of cognitive depiction, which concerns the production of sensory occurrences within the cognitive faculties. It can be ocular, aural, or other modality. It is generally involuntary because you don't want to, you just get a mental image, that's all. Example can be suddenly removing the face of your own child. When most of the Fauji which are there, who are not with the family, You remember that many times we remember the faces of child or children or even our family who are staying away from us. And what is visualization? Visualization is an extraordinary mental technique that involves the art of creating highly evocative and immersive mental imaginary of desired outcome or good. It is different from mere mental imagery as it is much more targeted, focused, and result oriented. Visualization often entails using mental image to steer or sway our behavior in a desired direction. It is typically voluntary. For example, you have to give a presentation. So mentally, you start imagining who are going to be there, what are going to do, and how are you going to do. So it becomes somewhat goal directed. It's a goal directed visualization. Whereas imagination is a broader cognitive function that encompasses the ability to create new ideas, concepts, or experiences, including visual imagery, not necessarily limited to visual sense, and that aren't currently present in the reality. I can imagine, say, spacecraft, which I have not even seen. So imagination goes beyond what we have or we have faced or what is really we know about it. Okay. So having seen that, let's go back again. Mental imagery we have already defined as visualize and visualize. Both of them are very, very powerful and often used tools in the human cognitive arsenal. This is one of the weapons that we use it for ourselves. They are capable of conjuring up, that is, like a magic when it comes to our mind. An assortment of vivid and realistic in mental picture, sounds, sensation that can exert a significant influence on our thought, emotions, and behavior. And behavior. So, what is it can impact on our existence, like picturing passing a job interview, mental rehearsing, challenging athletic performance, etc. So cerebral course of cognitive depiction concerns the production of sensorial, that's sensory in involving sensorial occurrence. Can someone assorted range of vistas, areas, which is you can give a broad view what it is going to like. It can be sound, it can be flavor, it can be sensations which are there, which are out, which without any outer incentive. Again, it just comes to our mind. No one has triggered it. So thus mental imagery embodies a distinctive genre of mental activity that diverges from alternative categories of what you call ratiocination, the process of making judgment about something based on sensible thinking or logic, such as abstracted or linguistically based ratiocination being more experiential and sensory facet. Means it gives you the feeling. It can be both visual and what you call ocular process of visual imagery involves fashioning cognitive depiction of an array of objects, setting, circumstances varying from pictures, sunset. You can imagine I'm in Goa thinking about the beach, doing, say, water rafting or sailing or swimming. What might be the case? That is the visual imagery. Next comes sound. Process of auditory imagery, aural, involves the cognitive reproduction of sound or voices. यदि कोयल की आवाज सुनाई पड़ती है इन बसंत के टाइम में, how do we recognize it? It is a recollection of certain morning. We recognize that sound. Okay. So in the last and is what called the process of kinesthetic imagery. I can imagine we are doing movements. Those people who are actors, they can visualize how are they could perform that acting, probably musical dance or what would be the case. So that is what is the mental imagery is all about. Okay. Now, so the association with mental imagery, so we did of perception and remembrance is predicted on the arousal neural because all these There's this mental imagery, perception, remembrance. They are all going to arouse our neural process. What is that? Nerves. And it goes in the same area where we physically, when we try and do that, and that is the area of the brain gets activated. When we engage in imaginary practice of summoning up an image, sound, and sensation, our cerebral structure activates many of the same zones that are implicated in actual perception. Last time I did talk about, if we take a MRI, it does show that the same area where we're physically doing it gets activated. Okay. Now, I just tell you very soon, as a in a school child, I used to practice maths many times, so that even when same question when used to come, you can believe it to me. When I'm writing it, it used to prove I have the total mental picture of the complete maths with the answer, typical answer used to come to me. And God was kind. I did receive pronoun. I did get what 100 out of 100 also at least twice. So that was the olden days, not nowadays. I'm old and outdated in any case today. Okay. So now, what is mental? So types of mental is there that we call episodic, that is typically entails conjuring up specific events or experience, often derived from one's personal life. Now, imagine in theater you are given an accident scene, a picture of accident scene. What happens? So that is an episode, because as soon as you see that picture, you go back into past and look at last time when you either you had yourself met an accident or seen someone else meeting there or someone narrating the story of that accident. So this is interlinked to our memories and emotions. Okay, even so many childhood memories we remember when we meet our old friends from that during our childhood, and we become chummy and pally as we were during our time. Next is semantic. Semantic is the meaning. Semantic is meaning. Primarily involves envisaging general knowledge or concept as imagining the shape of a triangle, contemplating the meaning of a word. Now in WAT, what happens? You get a word. We have got, again, that the semantic, the meaning of that word triggers certain amount of response from us, and the sentences that we make it is basically based upon our semantic imaginary. Okay. Based on level of vividness, lucidity, and details of richness depend upon factors such as individual differences, emotional states, and attentional mechanism. It can be ability to generate highly intricate and lifelike mental image. So it will all vary from person to each. Every 2% cannot afford to have the same mental imaginary. It will depend upon individual to individual. It's capable of producing vague or nebulous impression. You may not get with it. As I said, no, from perception to apperception. Perception is just a basic image, basic perception. You got what the object would have been. But the final picture really comes back after apperception. It's a technique by itself. Similarly, mental imagery can be nebulous, vague. You just get vague at this how the thing should have been. For instance, various mental images include visualize the face of our loved ones. I've already talked about it. And we can imagine so many things in our day-to-day affair. Okay. Now this comes to the visualization. We did talk about what is that imagery earlier. What is visualization? Visualization really becomes goal-directed. Is a mental technique involving the art of creating highly evocative, immersive mental imagery of a desired outcome or a goal. So it means it is mental imagery plus goal. You can think it about it. So until unless we have got a goal, visualization won't really come. Normally people say, if you want to do well in life, imagine, close your eyes, think, where will you be after 5 years, 10 years, and imagine that you are sitting in a posh room where you are the CEO of a company. So that's a visualization. So that gives you some motivation to reach that what you wanted it. So it is much more targeted, focused, result oriented than mental imagery. Often entails using mental images to steer or sway our behavior in a desirable direction. Why do we do the visualization? So that suppose I visualize I have topped the class and say 12th or probably in graduation or BTech, whatever you're there. When what will the how people will respond? How would our parents be happy about it? And that gives me motivation to start working to that direction. It affects its effects are manifold, multifarious, ranging from mitigating anxiety. It can also help us. Suppose those people who are sick, imagine the trauma that they have got it. So how do they must visualize tomorrow when I get okay, when I get out of my problem, I will be happy to go around with the family, visit places. So that is going to reduce my anxiety. It can help augment my performance, and it can also help me to be much more creative. So it is how it really works on our subconscious mind. Subconscious is primarily responsible for regulating our automatic and habitual behavior, emotions, and belief. When we are breathing, it is automatic. We do not know how are we breathing. When I'm talking, my tongues are already moving in the right direction. It's just automatic. So now, by visualization, we try and direct all our action to be so automatic and habitual so that we can get the result that we desire. We can powerfully program our subconscious to work relentlessly towards fulfilling our goal and desires by harness. How do I? It's a visualization. It's a image. As I said, as I gave you example. Suppose tomorrow you become an IAS officer or become, say, President of India. How would your parent react to that? Won't they be happy? Looking at the happy face, won't you like to perform now? That's there. So subconscious mind is essentially unable to differentiate between what is real and what is imagined, that I have already talked about it, because it touches the same area of a brain where when we actually perform. Advantage of visualization are it significantly ameliorates, reduces anxiety and reduces our stress. It pacifies our nervous system and effectively shifts our attention away from negative thoughts and emotion, enhances performance in various realms. It can be sports, public speaking, academics, and any other area. So it can be what we call this imagination visualization can be guided. We talk about hypnosis. What does hypnosis do? The master who's over there, he directs you do this, or even yoga. When say when you do one of the yoga, he says, okay, you close your eyes, sit on there, imagine something happening on there. So that's a guided imagery. Entails listening to a scripted or recorded sequence that guides an individual through an intricate sequence of mental images and sensation. These techniques can serve a multitude of purposes, including but not limited to stress reduction, relaxation, emotional healing. Hypnosis, as I said, is an example. Mental health involves the mental practice of a specific skill, task, such as delivering a speech, hitting a golf ball, or any other thing around there. So that's called, so there are the two techniques involved, guided and mental rehearsal. Okay. What is the scope? Scope can be, as I said, it can be in the context of sports, in the domain of like athletes. I'm given to example in 2000 Olympics. One of the, I think one of the athlete she was supposed to have in diving, and she was excellent to get gold medal. But unfortunately, just before Olympic in 2000, there was some problem in her toes, and she couldn't really practice before As a result, what she used to do it, she used to sit near the pool, imagine she is coming across, taking a jump, one somersault, second somersault, going inside the water, making the noise, and she kept on visualizing how things are going to go. And ultimately, probably she got okay just about, say, not even a month before Olympic, and she went on to win the gold medal. That is the power of visualization. In the domain of therapy, visualization can leverage to reduce our anxiety. It can reduce our trauma, facilitate healing. So that is where that's the part, that is how the therapists do. What therapists try and do it, they try and any unconscious, they try and bring it to conscious level. That is how the visualization comes back. They tell you if you are okay, how would you feel about it? So that's then the realm of creativity. Mental image can facilitate generation of novel ideas, problem solving, creative imagination. A writer may use visualization to imagine a character or scene in the story. Creating a visual image in one's mind or mental rehearsing a planned movement in order to learn skills of enhanced performance, maybe dance, maybe music, what will be there? Hypnotic method used to induce or increase relaxation. We have already talked about it. In consumer psychology, motivation research technique using imagery for fictitious situation or condition in order to induce consumer to reveal a true reason for their choice of products. What they do it? He says, okay, if you use this soap, you become probably I become probably handsome tomorrow. Probably I won't. But in any case, if they make me happy at that time, and so I'm forced to think, how smart would I be tomorrow when I use that product of the person? By practicing visualization, we are all getting into the routine of calming our mind in spite of many distractions, thus training ourselves to focus on things at a time. You are retraining your brain to focus. That is what we are trying to do. Okay. So that is what we all have to talk about it, gentlemen. I hope in this particular series that we are talking, we did talk mental imagery. Now we have come a bit more of visualization. And next, in a couple of days, we will be talking about imagination. All these things are you just have to be aware of it. We all know about it, but you have to be conscious and utilize the power of mental imagery, visualization, and imagination for our own benefits. Hope it serves the purpose. Thank you.